Hello, this is a collective message. So this is the message that wants to come through for you today, okay? This is the message that wants to come through for you today. Let's see. Those, that, and that one. All right, what do we got going here for our collective message? Justice, Knight of Swords, Four of Cups, and Nine of Pentacles. This is very interesting because I feel like this is giving me the vibe of like waiting for some kind of justice that is not showing up. It's kind of like you feel like you have been done wrong and that something is, needs balancing because of this wrong that was done to you. But really what I'm feeling, and it's like you're waiting for this outcome of the balancing of the scales, right? That this wrong that was done to you is balanced, and it's balanced in a way that you almost get some kind of reward or some kind of gift or benefit because this thing was done wrong for you, right? But I really feel like the message is that if you continue waiting for this particular thing that you feel is owed to you, you're actually not going to get it. You're going to continue this wanting and this needing, which is like, an energy of lack, right? It's like you're continuing this energy of lack by continuing to look for this payout or this balancing that you feel you deserve because of something that you suffered. And so justice is a funny thing, right? Because it is about balancing the scales. He's holding the scales there. He's holding the sword of truth there. And it really is about balancing, the scales and the cause and effect and whatnot. But I feel like the issue is that you are really, you're looking for this balancing without, and it's causing you this, this kind of feeling of like missing it, So this person on the Four of Cups is looking at these 3 cups, and these 3 cups are full, they're upright. But it's like he feels like there should be more, and it's kind of upsetting because it's like he wants more, right? He has these 3, but he wants more, and that's why he's kind of sitting there cross-legged, cross-armed, staring at those and wondering why he doesn't have more. But it is ultimately, again, a feeling of lack. And what he doesn't recognize is that there is this other cup that is coming through, but he's not seeing it, right? So there is this other benefit, there is this other justice almost that is coming through, or has come through, but it's not being recognized and acknowledged for what it is. And instead, the energy is here in the Knight of Swords of like trying to almost, I'm feeling like this energy of demand, right? Like of demanding something that is yours, demanding some type of justice, but that this justice has to look a particular way that this Knight of Swords is wanting. That's the whole feeling of like this rushing with the Knight of Swords. It's like, it's not necessarily rushing in sense of speed, but it's rushing in sense of like wanting more than what you have, right? And so ultimately the message here is that this justice has already been executed. It's already been given to you, but you haven't seen it. So whatever this thing is, that is like this harm that has been done to you, or this thing that you had to endure that felt like, you know, an imbalance, it felt like an injustice, it felt like something, like you were wronged. I feel like what you're not realizing is that wrong was already righted. That wrong was already balanced out, but you're not recognizing it. You're not seeing it. And once you do, it puts you into this place of abundance, right? So it's like, it's really just a mental gap here, you know. Swords are also a very mental thing, right? But it is very much just like a mental gap. It's you've already reaped the balance. You've already, have been compensated for the injustice, but it's not in the way that you were expecting. It's not necessarily like in money, right? So say, somebody, did something that kind of like took away your financial income. Like maybe they did something that caused you to lose your job or something like that. And this was a real injustice for you, in the sense that, you suffered financially, and you want that injustice to be righted, right? You want to be compensated for that. And you're looking to be financially compensated because that is what hurt you, right? That is what you suffered, was a wound in finances or whatever. But ultimately, it's important to understand that has, the compensation has come through in a different form for you, okay? And it's a shift in mindset, and it's a shift in framing to be able to recognize that. So for example, you may have lost your job, but instead you gained like some freedom. So you've had to make some financial cutbacks. You can no longer drive that fancy car. You can no longer go out to fancy restaurants and spend a lot of, or have a lot of discretionary income, but you've gained freedom, right? And so the freedom that you gained from that you gained from this injustice is the balancing. It is the compensation, right? But you're not necessarily recognizing it, okay? So, and this can apply across a wide range of things, right? Like even in relationships, somebody did you wrong in a relationship, and you suffered, and it was unjust. Somebody treated you unjustly, they treated you unfairly, and you might be looking for the compensation of wanting to see them hurt, which is very toxic. But you're so focused on that compensation, right, of them feeling the pain that you might have felt in a relationship, that you're not recognizing how this person actually did you a favor by treating you in this way, because what it did was it set you on a different course, right? Like perhaps now you recognize your worth more, right? Perhaps now you're not willing to tolerate or entertain people who don't treat you in a particular way, right? So maybe the benefit, right, the compensation was a building of self-worth and self-value, right? Did it come with pain? Of course. But usually, like that's how it works, like that's how the learning, it becomes like a whole lot more potent. It doesn't mean that you have to experience hardship or pain in order to experience learning. That's not it at all. But like if you're talking about a quick and potent lesson, like pain and hardship will do that for you, right? But you got to be able to see it. You got to be able to see it. You got to be able to reframe it. I think my personal example is exactly that, is that I had worked in a state job for a really long time. I felt like I really committed myself. I devoted myself to this job. You know, I was salaried, but I put in tons of extra hours, you know. I worked more than 40-hour work weeks. I really put myself into it. And when COVID came around, I was basically faced with the ultimatum of like, take the shot or lose your job. And I'm very much a person who does not like people telling me what to do and trying to exact that force and take away my own free will. Like that was a huge red flag for me, even though it was something that I was considering. Just the fact that somebody was going to try and tell me that I was gonna lose my job if I didn't do it, that was like, okay, then, you know, if that's the case, that's the case. And I digress a little bit, but my point is I felt very wronged by that. I felt, you know, how like that I devoted my life, my career to, you know, to this job, and they basically like, you know, stabbed me in the back, right? And so I was convinced that you know, that they weren't, that wasn't okay, that they couldn't get away with that I was going to find some compensation, you know, find a lawyer that could represent me, and, you know, all of this stuff. And I was looking for that, you know, and it never happened. But I did realize that losing that job was the best thing that ever happened to me, because you know what, financially I was able to make it work. Of course, I had to cut back on a whole bunch of things, but I haven't worked since. Like, I haven't worked a real job since, you know, and I've had nothing but freedom. If I want to wake up in the morning and go to the beach, I go to the beach. If I want to lay in bed all day and watch TV, that's what I do. Nobody tells me what to do anymore. I am, you know, I don't have this job that is, you know, that I'm slaving away at, and I have, you know, I don't get to make my own decisions about what I want to do for the day with this job. Now I do, and it is the best gift that I could have ever asked to receive. And it's not a financial compensation, but it's a compensation in such a greater way. Okay, so what I'm saying here is there's a reframing that really needs to happen. If you continue to look for compensation for an injustice in a particular way, right, with a particular outcome, you could get lost in, you know, the lack of not receiving that particular outcome. Whereas if you take a deeper look, you'll see that you have been compensated in a much greater way than you could even imagine. You know, like this woman here, her finances are set, her freedom is set. That's the, you know, the hawk there. You know, she's good. The grapes are the abundance. The grapes are also signify like, you know, alchemy, in a way of like, you know, you can make wine from grapes. And so yeah, and then the flowers, the roses on her gown really symbolize beauty. The yellow background is about light and clarity and illumination and joy. So like this is a great place to be. The Nine of Pentacles is a really great place to be. And I feel like if you really like take a look at your life and put your focus on all of the blessings that you have, on all of the things that really serve to create a feeling of abundance in your life, you'll really see that it's present for you. But if your attention, this is attention, right? If it's directed elsewhere, expecting and looking for a particular outcome, as opposed to being open to, you know, abundance arriving in various ways, you're only going to experience disappointment and lack. Okay, so reframing. All right, love you all. Bye-bye.